Today, the hot drama is that Sony's just not that into E3 anymore. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint, where this week I'm hosting all by myself, so let's get right to looking at these Pokemon cakes from the Food Network Challenge. Okay, so first, this cake, I just feel it doesn't capture any of Litton's joie de vivre. Now this Mudkip can hawk a loogie, and that's a big mood for a cake. More like Chicky-Yika, am I right? Ooh.
Kathleen, at some point, are we actually going to do news?
This fucked up Chikorita is what passes for news in 2020, Paul.
No, like actual video game news without delicious frosting.
Okay, first it's fondant, and second it tastes disgusting. The Korea Taekwondo Association is putting the sport back in esport with a new scoring system that makes Taekwondo look like Tekken. The goal is to combat the perception that Taekwondo is not fun, so I'm not sure why they picked Tekken. Sony will once again not be returning to E3, which is surprising to a lot of people who seem to think that the only place that Sony could reveal the PS5 is E3, because they couldn't possibly do it at their own event, like the one they hosted last year. But why did Sony break up with the ESA? Well, Sony poured a ton of time and money into a grand and weird spectacle at E3 2018 and were lambasted for it because it was weird and because moving 300 journalists between venues during the presentation was a terrible idea. And so then Sony said, look, if you're not going to support my dreams, maybe we aren't supposed to be together. And nobody should be shipping Sony and E3 anyhow. What are you hoping for? That Sony is going to suddenly realize that E3 is their one true love and they're going to run back into the ESA's welcoming arms? Hell no. Sony bought a Lizzo CD and now they are 100% that bitch who can make their own way in this world. Brendan Gunman Shoots and Scoots can have little a new map. For real though, PUBG's 6th season will see the debut of Karakin, a teensy map that can only host 64 concurrent players, which should result in more intense gameplay and an illusion of fullness. It will also have destructible terrain, which means if you get to a city and there's no buildings, it's probably intentional. YouTuber Shank Mods has created a pair of GameCube-shaped JoyCons, and all he had to do was cleave an old Wavebird controller in half, 3D model a bunch of custom plastic inserts, stuff the guts of some Joy-Cons inside them, and then garnish it with custom buttons and a sweet purple paint job. There's a 14-minute video detailing the weeks of painstaking work that went into this project, but incredibly, the question to ask isn't, why would anyone do this? It is, in fact, why hadn't someone done this before? You see, according to my friend Beige, people have been chasing this particular dragon since Nintendo announced the Revolution, which was not a call to guillotine rich people, it was the code name for the Wii. That means this idea has been biding its time for 15 years, waiting until humanity had finally advanced enough to grasp the last untouchable dream. A GameCube controller that breaks into 2 pieces so you can save the second half for lunch the next day.
Kathleen, GameCube controllers are not for eating.
Yeah, but one of those Pokemon cakes shot sparks, though.
What does that have to do with anything?
I'm not the one that changed the definition of food to cover things that could electrocute you, but I have to respect that decision. Coming up, last week Modern Warfare released an Australian-themed Outback cosmetic pack. Not for charity, though, just because Australia was in the news. This week, they announced that 100% of the net proceeds from the renamed Outback Relief Pack will be donated to bushfire charities.
Or you could just donate directly to Australian wildfire relief funds.
That's right, like Wire's Wildlife Rescue, the Australian Red Cross, and the New South Wales Rural Fire Service, among many needy charities. And that means you don't have to play COD at all. Haha.